welcome all of you, and thank you for coming to what has been, for quite a few years now, one of our most anticipated events, which is our annual introduction to an opera. And today, Barbara Giancola, who is our wonderful artistic director, gave us a choice of several operas, and we chose opera of Porgy and Bess, and we're really happy that we did, because we get to have Richard Hobson here, who is a distinguished baritone and who kindly came out to spend a little bit of time with us today. We have Robert Wilson as a musical director, and we're very lucky to have him as well. We thank the Opera of the Hamptons, and I think there's some members and officials here from the Opera of the Hamptons in the front row, and Martha and Margaret are here. Thank you for all you do, and thank you for allowing us here at the library to have a wonderful introduction to Porgy and Bess. Please welcome Barbara Giancola.
I said I was going to use a mic, and I will, but I have to tell you that choosing Porgy and Bess was a very interesting journey. I started to read about George Gershwin, about the story, how it was written, and what the opera itself and Gershwin went through. And as you can see from the abbreviated notes that I gave you, I can tell you just in Wikipedia, I edited to 8 pages. There is so much information about Porgy and Bess and Gershwin and the country at that time. It was really extraordinary. And the one thing I said to my artists is that I don't want any racism. I don't want anything that even hints of it. This story was actually a book, a novel, and it won awards, amazing awards at that time, way back, DuBose Hayward, and then they made it a play, and he with his wife wrote the lyrics, but then when it became an opera, they went back to the novel, and Ira Gershwin worked with DuBose Hayward for the lyrics. And when I tell you this is the short of it, it really is. I ask you to go home and look it up. You will be amazed. The opera ran 4 hours for anybody, and Gershwin himself sat in on the tryouts and kept cutting and cutting and cutting. There is more, as my wonderful, wonderful music director will say to you, usually there's not enough music. Here, there's too much, and everything is great. I would like to introduce you to our artist, Richard Hobson. Can you hear me? With a closed door. Now, these two gentlemen are probably two of the most amazing people you're ever going to hear. You can see from the, also in this case, the abbreviated bios. I can't tell you, this was a tough one. How do I fit it on one page both sides? I couldn't. So I will tell you that we are very privileged today to have with us one of the great Porgys. He has sung Porgy, as well as many of the other roles all over the world. And we welcome him. He was the one that sang it at City Opera when they first performed it, as well as throughout the entire United States and Europe. It's incredible, and it is very much received as an artwork everywhere else, which is very interesting. And Robert, I included at the end of his bio something that he had written. And I excluded some of his work and the things that he's done. He's worked everywhere, done everything. But he wrote this paragraph that is so touching about music that I wanted you to share with me and with him. And I thank you for that, Robert. So let's get back to Porgy because I don't want to waste a minute of this music and this opera. Richard made a wonderful suggestion. He said George Gershwin himself has written very much in the jazz form a folk song before Porgy. And he wants to sing that for you before we begin Porgy and Bess. And it is very interesting to hear. Richard.
Yeah, this song is called A Real American Folk Song. Probably a lot of you may know it. But to me, it sort of juxtaposes George Gershwin's beginning and the ending of his career, because originally he thought he should write music in the European vein, like Verdi and Puccini and Debussy and all these people. But then he decided, you know, there is a wealth of music right here in America. And so what he discovered was that the real American folk song is a rag, and that's the name of this song.
Traditional Spanish tunes, the Neapolitan street song sighs, you think of Italian skies. Each nation has a creative vein, originating on native strain, with folk songs plaintive and others gay, in their own peculiar way. American folk songs, I feel, have a much stronger appeal. The real American folk song is a rag, a mental drag, a rhythmic tonic for the chronic blues. The critics call it a joke song, but now they've changed their tune to they like it somehow, for it's inoculated with a syncopated type of meter, sweeter than a classic strain. Boy, you can't remain still quiet, 'cause it's a riot. The real American folk song is like a fountain of youth. You taste and it elates you, and then invigorates you. The real American folk song, a master stroke song, is a rag.
So we take you from what a folk song actually sounded like, one written by George Gershwin, and now we take you to the opera itself. I will, during our afternoon together, I will go back and forth telling you how many places it played in, especially in the United States, Canada, Cape Africa, name it, it's been there. So let's start with the show itself. And Saturday night, everybody meets, and the first thing you're going to hear, are you going to sing it? Summertime. Summertime, believe it or not. And what happens is that men would rather play craps. And so, here we have Clara holding her baby, singing this beautiful summertime, and the men carrying on as usual. What happens after that is that actually her husband sings his version of a lullaby. So as we go through that, you will hear Jake, because as I told you, he sung every part, right?
Yes. Every part for the low voice.
So you're hearing this.
that baby ain't asleep yet. Let me show you how to put it to sleep.
And Charlie asleep yet. Give him to me, I'll fix him for you. Listen to your daddy warn ya, for you start traveling. A woman may warn ya, love you and warn ya, but a woman is a sometime thing. Yes, a woman is a sometime thing. Your mammy is the first name ya, then she'll tie you to her apron string. Then she'll shame you and she'll blame you till your woman comes to claim you. 'Cause a woman is a sometime thing. Yes, a woman is a sometime thing. Oh, you'll never let a woman grieve ya just 'cause she's got your wedding ring. She'll love you and deceive you, then she'll take your clothes and leave you. 'Cause a woman is a sometime thing. Yes, a woman is a sometime thing. Yes, a woman is a sometime thing. Yes, a woman is a sometime thing.
So, Porgy, you play craps?
Oh, yes.
Do you win?
He wins all the time. Everybody bets on Porgy because on a Saturday night they know there's two things. He's very religious and he always wins at craps. He doesn't have a girlfriend, that's the problem.
But there is a craps game. And you're going to meet the characters as we go along. You just met Jake. Well, he's not Clara, but he's a wonderful substitute.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway, the craps game is getting set up. Everybody's doing what they do. Everybody's coming. And in walk Crown, who is a bully, a stevedore, alcoholic. Can we think of any other names? It just goes on. And he comes in with Bess. Bess is beautiful. And Bess, you know, she's always got a boyfriend. That's how it is. She's beautiful. And Crown is the one that really possesses her.
One of Bess's philosophies is that some man is always going to take care of Bess. So she's never alone.
That's how the story goes. Anyway, so they walk in, and of course the game is getting ready to start. Everybody's there. One by one they drop, and the two last ones are Robbins and Jake. I'm sorry. Are you playing? No. Robbins and Crown. This is kind of bad news because he's got such a bad temper. And it's right to the bitter end. What happens is that Robbins wins the game. And Crown is furious, and he doesn't want him to walk away with the money. He kills him. And that's what happens. And it's terrible. It's a real fight. He runs away because he knows he's in big trouble. But what happens is that he tells Bess, I'll be back for you. And those are always very dramatic words coming from him because he's coming back. And so what happened?
What happened?
Yeah.
Well, she goes to live with Porgy. Porgy's the only person who will take her in.
The only one. She knocked on every door. No one. The women don't like her.
They hate her.
They really hate her. They think she's just a no good lady. That's it. And Porgy is the only one that takes her in. So that takes us to another scene. And poor lady is singing. And I heard, you said a very funny story. There was a Porgy and Bess going on. And at this point, that Robbins has been killed, the soprano is supposed to sing "My Man's Gone Now." Well, she got very sick, literally very sick. And so what were they going to do? They were in the show, she was sick, she couldn't sing. So who came in and sang
And so
for her?
Mariah, who is like the stalwart community strong lady, decides to step up and sing, "Her man's gone now." And we were in Europe, and they, of course, they didn't understand English, so they had no idea that it was not supposed to be sung by this character, but the show had to go on.
And it did. Well, these are the stories that are not written.
Right.
But anyway, we shared them with you.
And when she started singing, I turned upstage and I laughed so hard. I couldn't believe what she was doing.
Okay. So anyway, the authorities obviously are looking for who killed this poor man, Robbins, and everybody now wants to get on to the funeral. They have no money. And so Porgy sings what is called an incantation. As he said, and it's true, he's a very religious man. And so he sings this incantation so that people will donate to the funeral director so that he gets his fee and they can bury Robbins. And so there are a number of songs in this period here of crying, begging, etc. So we're going to hear the incantation. We obviously are going to sing all the very popular, famous things, but we also want you to hear some of the other music. So there you go. Thank you for money
Are we
watching.
doing all of the stars now?
And we're doing, God got me for the songs.
Oh, money for the stars.
And in most situations like this, the crowd participates. They're very vocal because this is actually a religious moment. And so we have, as our crowd backup scene, Mr. Bob. he's going to play Mr. Renaissance man. He's going to do everything. All right.
God got plenty of money for the slaughter.
Bless the Lord.
And he go and soften ye people's hearts for the feel the salsa till it's spill all over.
Amen, my Jesus.
Lord will provide a grave for his children.
Bless the Lord.
And he got comfort for the widow.
Oh, my Jesus.
And he gonna feed his fatherless children.
Yes, Lord. Truth, Lord.
And he gonna raise this poor sinner out of the grave.
Hallelujah.
And set him in the shining seat of the righteous.
Amen, my Jesus.
And the money starts rolling in.
What has already happened is that Bess is getting religion. She is becoming truly a changed woman. And she's living with Porgy. Interesting. He sings about his new happy-go-lucky life. And probably one of the best fun numbers of the show. Are you sitting down again? And this is Porgy.
Oh, I got plenty of a land, and nothing's plenty for me. I got no car, I got no mule, I got no misery. For folks with plenty of land, they gotta knock on the door. Afraid somebody is going to rob all his sure got to work how to keep the devil away. But I ain't afraid about hell till the time arrives. Never worry long as I'm well. Never want to strive to be good, to be bad. But the hell has gone out of the line. Oh, I got plenty of nothing, and nothing's plenty for me. I got my cow, got my Lord, I got heaven the whole day long. Ain't no use complaining. Got my gal, got my Lord, got my song. I was going to say, excuse me, I'm having a little flim call, but I'll be okay. He sings that to Jake and Claire, the newly married couple, because they're arguing over money. They want to know how they're going to have enough money to save to send the child to school. Porgy says, listen, I don't have anything, don't worry about it. It'll happen. So he has a very positive outlook on life.
That's for sure.
Yes.
Okay, so they're planning a picnic.
Yes.
And they're going to a place. And you have to say Kitiwa. Kitiwa Island?
Kittywa.
Say it again.
Kittywa Island.
Kitiwa Island, right?
Yes.
Okay, so everybody in Catfish Row, and by the way, Catfish Row is a fictitious place. However, Gershwin actually went down to South Carolina to different areas, and he went to a place that was called Cabbage Row. Cabbage Row or Road? Row. Cabbage Row. It's not a big place. You went there.
I went there, yes. It still exists, but it's no longer in.
But it is noted as a landmark in tribute to George Gershwin, which is amazing, you know, that a place like that has the name of a musician, you know, a great composer there, and this is going way back to the 30s, you know. So, but you know that this opera was actually finally written in, rather performed in 1935.
Yes.
Which is quite amazing, is that the Metropolitan Opera had to think about it for a long time, about when they would do it. Oh, they were talking about it. And then finally, around 1983, 85, they started to do it. They had so many performances, the people came out, and now it's a standard in the repertoire there also. So we got to go to Kitiwa Island.
But just also, most companies, when they're in the red, they do Porgy and Bess. They put them in the black. Because everybody wants to come and see that show. And the problem was that people didn't know if it was an opera or a Broadway show because Gershwin had not been really known as an opera composer. He, you know, was a jazz composer, and so people didn't take him seriously. But it is in fact an opera because it's not easy to say. It's not in Italian, but it's an opera.
But you know, the interesting thing with George Gershwin that you were telling me about is that he actually attended a service, a religious service, so that he could see what it was like to be at that service, the way the people reacted, and what were your words at the end?
George, the one thing that I really admire about this piece is that it is so authentic. And the reason it is because he went to the community, he lived there. He didn't want to look in from the outside, he wanted to absorb it from the inside. So he went to church and with these people. And you know, I don't know if you've ever been to an African American church, we shout, you know. And in the 1935, you can imagine in Charleston, South Carolina, still much close to Africa, a lot of the people, because the language they spoke was Gullah, which was a derivation of African. George Gershwin got so excited that he outshouted everybody in the church. He really did. So.
But you know, I really urge you, go home and look. You can look at Wikipedia. When I looked at that, I told you I found I edited to 8 pages of information. And I could stand here and just tell you the background, never mind the music. But getting back to Kitiwa Island, they all went there. And now the character you haven't met is Sport and Life.
Right.
Did you do that too?
No, I did not.
Oh, what's the matter? You can't do
He's a
that?
tenor. No. God didn't make me like that, so.
But anyway, Spartan Life is the local drug dealer. And he will give anybody happy dust. So he said to me, do you know what happy dust is? Did I give you the right answer?
Yes, you did. How many people know what happy dust is? Yeah.
What is it?
Exactly.
Heroin?
Exactly.
Cocaine.
And there is a wonderful, and again, we have another, there's always great songs of this, so no matter when you stop, there's going to be another great song. The one that I love, which is coming up, is the Strutting.
Oh, Strutting Style.
Strutting.
Right.
I hate your strutting life.
Your strutting style.
Style.
Yes.
I never heard it before. It's adorable. So he says, why don't you do it, Barbara? I said, no, you do it. So,
Well, it's supposed to be done by a woman, but it's sung by Mariah, not Maria, right? Mariah.
right.
And it's to Sporting Life. And it's what I call the first rap song. It's an early rap song. There's no notes, it's just all words. And she talks to Sporting Life about how disgusting it is what he does and how she's going to get it for it.
But we don't want to miss anything. Isn't this when he gives his cynical version of the Bible?
Well, no,
That comes next.
That comes
Oh, that's next.
Yeah,
I got it
yeah,
mixed up.
yeah.
Okay. Go ahead.
Or after.
So now I'm going to be a woman. Right.
If I enjoy
I hate your strutting style. Yes, sir. And your goddamn silly smile. And your 10-cent diamonds and your 5-cent butts. Ooh, I hate your guts. Somebody's got to carve you up and set these people free. And the writing on the wall says it's gonna be me. Some night when you was full of gin. Don't know I was pal. I was gonna take you by your tail and turn you inside out. Friends to low life, hell no. Well, I was thinking to break your bones. Yes, sir. One by one. And then I'm gonna carve you up and hang you in the sun. I'll feed your meat to the buzzards and give them belly aches. Take your bones to kitty water, pies and rattlesnakes. Friends to low life. I feels I must decline. Why, I'd sooner cut my own thumb before I calls you a friend of mine.
Sporting Life does leave, and he tells Bess as he goes, her men friends come and go, but he'll be there all the time. So, has anything changed?
No.
Okay, now, the best, and one of my favorites, it's hard to pick a favorite here. Now, Bess and Porgy are now alone. You sat down again?
No, look. So, what happens is, there's a confrontation between Sporting Life and Bess. Sporting Life is trying to get her to go back to her old ways of being a prostitute. She no longer has a red dress on, she has a blue dress on, right? She's trying to stay in that blue dress. The Sporting Life comes up with cocaine. He says, oh, just take a little bit, it's not going to hurt a flea. She says, no, I've given it up. And Porgy catches Sporting Life doing it, and he tells him, if you come back around here, I'll break your damn neck. That's exactly what he says. But Bess feels unworthy at this point, because she feels like Porgy is much better than her. And he sings this song to reassure her that you, in fact, you are my woman, and there's nothing going to change that.
Yes, you is my woman now. You is, and you must laugh and sing and dance for two instead of one. One and only God.
they haven't left yet for Kiowa Island. And the only one that can't go is Porgy, because being crippled, disabled, he can't get his cart on the boat. So they all leave, including Bess, and there are things that are going to happen on Kiowa Island. And the first thing that we are going to talk about is sport and life again. And he sings his cynical views on the Bible.
And guess what? You guys are going to go to Kiowa Island with me because you're going to be my partiers. You're going to be wine drinking, sandwich eating, church goers who have backslid because you're going to help me sing it ain't necessarily so. You didn't know that, did you? All right, so what I want to do is just, how many of you know this piece?
Some of it.
Okay, I'm going to make sure you're familiar with it. Just play the main thing. It ain't necessarily so. Sing that, guys.
It ain't necessarily so.
Good, right. So when I beckon you, you're going to repeat after me. The words change. But the fun part starts when they start the scatting. Now, where are those words? Okay. Give me those. I got it. Can you see this? Why do you say that? Zimbam Boodaloo. Say that one again. Hoolalada wada. Again. Hoolalada wada. Scatty. Now, let me show you how it goes. You repeat after me. This is Noodle Water. Okay, I go. Water! Zimbam Boodaloo. Hoolalada wada. Scatty wada. There you go. You're professional. All right. So let's have a little fun here. Let me get my glasses. Oh well. You know how when you lose your glasses, you can't find them. No. That's okay. I'll do it.
There's some glasses in the piano.
Huh?
On the piano?
Oh, on the other side of the piano. Near the keyboard.
Oh, that's a
No,
watch.
this is a watch.
Oh,
I think you put it in the side pocket. One of your side pockets.
I know I had them, didn't I? When I came
You
in.
did have it, you took them off when you started singing, but you put them in one of your pockets.
Oh well. I'll find them when I need them. Here we go. Just bear with me while I go through this. You gotta repeat after me. It ain't necessarily so.
It ain't necessarily so.
The things that you're liable to read in the Bible, it ain't necessarily so. Like this. You know. A little David was small but oh my.
Little David was small,
knowledge fossils, of wit, of grain, of salt. Methuselah lived 900 years.
Methuselah lived 900 years.
But who calls that living when no gal will give it to no man? What's 900 years? I'm preaching this sermon to show, not with me. It ain't that stuff, 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 ain't so. You can tell all your family and friends you went to Kitty Island today.
Well, when everyone decides they've had a great picnic and it's time to leave Kiowa Island, something happens. They all get on the boat, and who's missing but Bess? Because I told you that Crown, he always shows up like the bad penny he is. And he has determined that he won't let her go back. That she's his. She says, well, what do you want with old Bess? But he's not listening. He knows better. He knows he can cajole her. He can force her. He can do everything that she won't have a choice. And finally, when she really tells him that she loves Porgy and that she doesn't want to go back, he forcefully kisses her, embraces her, and she weakens. And when she weakens, he just commands her to go into the woods. And we have no sight of Bess anymore. So, Crown is at work. So here we go. What's going to happen? A terrible storm. And it really is bad. A lot of the men and even the women are out trying to find their husbands or help each other. And many of them die in this terrible, terrible storm. And what happens is that Bess does not want to be with Crown. And she escapes, and she swims and walks all the way back to Catfish Road. And when there, she is very ill. She's delirious. And they are praying for her. Serena, she says to Porgy, don't you worry, don't you worry. By 5 o'clock, I'm praying to Dr. Jesus, and she will be well. Okay, so we shake our heads and say, okay, 5 o'clock. But guess what? 5 o'clock comes, and she is well. And somebody else has left Kiowa Island, has swum the whole distance, and says that he's gotten to know God better on that swim back. You know who it is.
Brown.
Can't get rid of him. Can't get rid of that man. So what happens? You know that many die, but not Crown. Catfish Road is very quiet. Crown very stealthily enters into Porgy's home and tries to literally steal Bess away. He's confronted by Porgy. A fight ensues, and Porgy kills him. Now here we have the second person dead on Catfish Road. And believe it or not, among the characters are detectives and police, and you do know that Gershwin himself requested that the cast always be African American because it was about them, and they are the right ones, and also have classical voices.
Right. And one interjection. How many of you know who Al Jolson was?
Yes.
Of course, right?
This is
Well, I have a letter, or a copy of a letter, where Al Jolson, when he heard that Gershwin was writing Porgy and Bess, he wrote him a letter asking him to play the part of Porgy. He thought Gershwin had something in mind, like what Al Jolson had been doing, which was playing black people, or in blackface, and with sort of a Broadway type voice. But that's not at all what Gershwin had in mind. And so Gershwin knew at that point he had to make the stipulation that in this country, all the roles would be sung by African Americans. And to this day, it's still the case. Had it not been, God knows what Porgy and Bess would have turned into. So, yes.
Well, Porgy declares to Bess, you've got a man now. You've got Porgy. Everyone declares they know nothing about Crown. They never saw him. Nothing. They don't know who he is. And the police want somebody to identify him. Who is he? Who is this man? And somebody says to Porgy, you know that if you go down there, that he will spill blood. You know, if you're the murderer, he's going to be casting out blood. But sure enough, they came back. They still imprisoned Porgy, though there was no proof that he had anything to do with it. They put him in jail. And he was there. Okay. So guess who comes back again? Porgy. He tells Bess that Porgy will be locked up for a long time. He forces happy dust on her. He paints a seductive picture of what it would be like if she went with him to New York. Interesting. And she throws him out. She slams the door in his face, but he makes sure that she got a whiff of the happy dust. And he left a bag right at her door. And he tells her there's a boat leaving for New York. Maestro? If you can just play a little bit of that.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's a boat leaving for New York.
I'll just do it. All right, that's.
Oh, the big drum.
By the way, if anyone has the good fortune to see Porgy and Bess on Broadway, just 2012, and it ran many shows. I actually have the numbers somewhere. But I think that at the Met, the first time they did it was 54 performances, and it went up over the hundreds. And then when they did it on Broadway, the Richard Rogers Theater, 2011, opened January 12, 2002 with the wonderful Audra McDonald. It got fabulous reviews. It was done, I'll find it. Early reviews of the show were positive to mixed. All praised McDonald's performance of Bess. Time magazine ranked the show as the #2 choice among theater productions in 2011. It was nominated for 10 awards in the 2012 Tony Awards, winning Best Revival of a Musical and Best Performance by a Leading Actress in a Musical for Audra McDonald. The production ran through September 23rd, 2012, played 322 performances. Now that's last year, about a year ago, and I debated about going to see it, and I regret that we didn't, because I had company from out of the country, and I wasn't sure if they understood or whatever, starting with language to begin with. And it is really quite amazing. And again, at the very beginning, the show was controversial, and they had the nerve to say that it was racist. It showed what was going on at the beginning, and just to show you how far we've come now, I said to Richard and to Robert, there's nothing in this show that can be offensive to anyone. And I refuse to do anything that could be. We've come a long way. And George Gershwin is the reason. Now, we've got to get back to Porgy. He's
Has anyone
returned.
seen the new revival on Broadway, by the way? Did anybody see that?
Anybody get to see it? I
It's-
heard
it's-
fabulous.
It's more of an updated version. If you know Porgy and Bess, like what we're doing today, you may not appreciate it. It's targeted the younger group who don't know it, and they don't know what to expect. I mean, they still have some of the wonderful tunes, but it's sung with more pop voices, except for Audra, and it's condensed. So you have to be really open-minded if you see it. It's not going to be what you're used to seeing and hearing.
Why do they do that?
Yeah.
Because they wanted to bring in a new audience.
Yeah.
They want a new, younger audience to spend their money. But they don't know what the real Porgy and Bess is like, so they maybe one day they'll get to see it. Oh, well, yes.
But, you know, well, there's been so many great singers within Warfield. I mean, from the earlier singers. I mean, the names are unbelievable. Grace Bunbury at the Med, Trevor Nunn, and then the directors that took it. Okay, I got to bring you back to Porgy before. Are we okay? Are we okay? I have to get the okay.
Yes. Yes, we are.
Thank you. Okay. Porgy is released from jail. He really didn't, you know, they couldn't find anything on him. Returns to Catfish Row. And guess what he's been doing in jail? You want to tell them what he did?
Gambling.
He's making a lot of money.
Making a lot of money because he's a good crap. He
So,
brings gifts to everybody.
for everybody, and for Bess, a beautiful red dress. So he came back, and everybody was very uncomfortable around him. And he sensed it, and he didn't see Bess taking care of the baby, Clara's baby, and singing Summertime, because the tune always comes back in the opera. As the baby's on stage, so is Summertime. So, anyway, he sings the fabulous "Oh Bess, oh where's my Bess."
And let me just say, this piece originally was a solo. Now it is a trio in the opera. But many of you probably know the recording of Robert Merrill, Leonard Warren, and the other great American baritone from the 30s. They all sang it and recorded it as a solo. But Gershwin ultimately added a trio because that was the one thing lacking in the opera. He had many duets, many solos, but no trios. But you won't miss it.
Somebody tell me where I care what she say, I care what she done. Oh, somebody tell me where's my Bess? Somebody tell me where's my Bess? I wanna saw my girl, my Bess. Oh God, in your big hand, please show me where I must go. Give me the strength, show me the way. Tell me the truth, where is she? Where is my gal? Where is my girl?
hard to do when you're suffering, but
Before we finish this opera, I want to give special thanks to Richard Hudson. Richard came to Opera of the Hamptons many, many years ago, and I thought to myself, why does this artist who comes from the Metropolitan Opera come and sing with a regional company here in the Hamptons? You know, and of course, we were all fascinated at this gorgeous voice and how everybody received him. And when I told him about Porgy at the library, he said, have you ever done this before? Not meaning Porgy, but I said, yes, we've been coming here for many years, and each year we do a different opera. And so he said he would do Porgy. And I was thrilled, but I said, oh God. Robert Wilson has always been a friend of a friend, you know, we all know each other in different ways. And when he started playing for the opera company, what stands out a lot, but I hope you're not seeing a lot of it, is his sense of humor. So, after he wrote what was in your bio, his bio, on your program, he also added, actually on the actual bio, he said he also liked to move pots and pans around in his kitchen. And what did I leave out?
Watching anything in black and white on Turner Classic.
So it was really a very special treat, and I was afraid to put it out to the world. I did what I had to do, and I thank Penny, who absolutely did.
Yes, thank you.
Barbara, I want to thank you for making these wonderful musical events available to us every single year, and you have really made an important difference in our lives. And by the way, we want all three of you back next year.
I thank Opera of the Hamptons Guild and all those that have supported us through the years. Martha Campanella has been my right hand, and my left hand is Martha Julian.
Yeah.
Before we bring Porgy and Bess to its conclusion, we're almost done, I will tell you that on July 26th, we're going to be over at Duck Walk Vineyards. And that's always a great night. It'll be from Opera Broadway, a Puccini night by the request of Dr. Damian. He's a real opera buff, but nobody comes near Puccini. So it's a Puccini night. So if you're interested, just give us your name, we'll send you information, whatever. So thank you, July 26th. Now, what's going to happen to you?
well, at this point, Porgy's is so in love with Bess because she's the first woman he ever was physical with. I mean, how many people want to be physical with a person who crawls? You know, he can't walk. They probably think he can't do other things. Anyway, Bess, of course, and him fall deeply in love. And when she goes to New York, he says, well, I'm going to go find her. And he actually takes off on a cart pulled by a goat going to New York. Now, anecdotally, there was supposed to be a man who arrived in New York pulled by a goat in 1937, something like that. Oh, I'm serious, yeah. And who knows if it's true or not, but you know, that's the story you hear when you go to Charleston. Anybody here from Charleston? Okay. I mean, they make it all interesting so they can sell, you know, the tickets and so forth. Because they have all these tours about Porgy and Bess. I don't know if that's true. I can't imagine a man getting from Charleston to New York pulled by a goat. You can hardly do it with a car.
Well, Porgy, what do you sing when you...
He says, well, since she's gone, I'm on my way. And it's like this prayer that he sings. He says, God's going to help me, and he's going to find his best. That's how he ends the show.